My name is Karen. For 20 long years, I waited. Every month, I prayed. Every test that came back negative felt like a knife. Still, I smiled. Still, I stayed. Jonathan said we had to be patient. He made it seem like we were in this together. But deep down, I carried the weight alone. People whispered. Family stared. They called me barren without saying it out loud. And Jonathan? He let them. He stood beside me in public, but blamed me in private. You're the reason, he once hissed. Still, I believed love meant holding on. I never imagined the man I trusted most would betray me deeper than any stranger ever could. It was our anniversary. 20 years of marriage. I cooked dinner, wore his favorite red dress, lit candles. Jonathan came home late, didn't even look at me. Then he said, I want a divorce. I blinked. He didn't stutter. I need a real woman. One who can give me a child. Those words shattered me. He packed my bags like I was a guest. No tears. No second thoughts. I stood by the door, speechless. He didn't flinch. He sat on the couch and turned on the game. As if he hadn't just ended 20 years with one sentence. And in that moment, I felt smaller than I'd ever been before. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I picked up the suitcase. My hands trembled, but I walked away. Outside, the night air was cold. My body felt numb, like I was dreaming. I found a cheap motel and cried into the pillow. Why me? Why after everything? I remembered the prayers, the treatments, the surgeries. All for nothing. He blamed me for our empty home. But I had never seen him get tested. Not once. Just me. Always me. The woman who got poked, scanned, and judged. And now, I was also the woman thrown away. I didn't know what tomorrow would bring. But I knew I wouldn't go back. Lisa was my best friend since college. She took me in without asking questions. I cried on her couch for 3 days. She fed me, bathed me, held me like a baby. You're not the problem, she said again and again. But it didn't feel true. The shame was heavy. Even her cat stared at me like I was broken. Lisa told me Jonathan always seemed too quiet during fertility talks. She said, did he ever get checked? I paused. No, I whispered. That night, I couldn't sleep. A question kept looping in my head like a song. What if I wasn't the broken one after all? A week later, I returned to get my things. Jonathan wasn't home. His new girlfriend opened the door, gave me a nasty look, and said nothing. I packed quickly, trying not to cry. Then I saw it. A white folder under the nightstand labeled Private. I didn't mean to look. But I did. Inside were medical reports. Jonathan's name. Date, 10 years ago. Diagnosis, severe oligospermia. Low sperm count. Almost no chance of conception. I sat on the floor shaking. He knew. He knew. For 10 years, he let me suffer. He let others blame me while hiding the truth. And in that moment, grief turned into something else. Rage. I couldn't breathe. My fingers trembled. I read every line again. He wasn't just infertile, he knew and lied. He watched me drink bitter herbs. Watched me cry in bathrooms. He watched me lose myself. And stayed silent. That wasn't a mistake. That was cruelty. I took pictures of every page. Snapped them like trophies. I walked out of the house, folder in my bag. The new girlfriend watched me leave. She smirked. She didn't know yet. But she would. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to fight. I was going to end Jonathan's fairy tale with cold, quiet truth. That night, I sent the screenshots to his new girlfriend. No caption. No warning. Just facts. 2 hours later, she called. I didn't know, she whispered. Then she hung up. The next day, Jonathan called me screaming. You're evil. I said, no. I'm honest. Something you've never been. He threatened to sue. I laughed. For what? Telling the truth? He screamed again. I hung up. It felt good. Not joyful, just clean. Like breathing after holding your breath for too long. The revenge had begun. And I didn't need a courtroom. The truth was already on trial. Small towns love gossip. By Sunday, everyone knew. The barber. The pastor. Even the mailman. Jonathan became a joke overnight. Memes floated around. Blames wife for no kids. Can't even swim. I didn't share them. I didn't need to. The truth had legs. I went to church alone. Heads turned. People smiled. One woman hugged me. You didn't deserve that, she said. For the first time in years, I felt seen. Not pitied, respected. Jonathan stayed home that Sunday. Too ashamed to show his face. I guess karma doesn't always knock. Sometimes, it kicks the door wide open. Jonathan's sister came to see me. Tears in her eyes. We didn't know, she said. We believed him. I nodded. She handed me a baby blanket. For the child you still deserve. I didn't cry. Not in front of her. But later, holding that soft fabric. I wept. Not because I missed Jonathan. Not because of the years I lost. But because people were starting to see the truth. And even if it came late. It came loud. I wasn't barren. I was brave. I survived a silent war. And now, I was winning. I met Brian at a bookstore. He was kind, soft-spoken, with warm eyes. We bumped into each other twice in 1 week. Lisa said it was fate. I wasn't sure. But I gave him my number. We went for coffee. He didn't ask about children. He asked about me. What books I liked. What food I craved at midnight. When I told him my story, he held my hand. That man didn't deserve you, he said. And for once, I believed it. Brian wasn't loud. He didn't promise me the moon. He just saw me. And that was enough to make me feel alive again. One night, Brian said, I've always wanted to adopt. My heart skipped. You don't care that she won't be ours by blood? He smiled. She'll be ours by love. We filled out forms. Took parenting classes. Picked out names. People said we were brave. I felt scared. What if I failed again? Brian said, you never failed. You just believed the wrong man. I cried. Not out of pain. Out of healing. We painted the nursery light blue. And waited. But this time, it wasn't a painful wait. It was a hopeful one. Because this time, I wasn't alone. This time, I had love on my side. We adopted a baby girl. She had curly hair and a smile that could melt stone. We named her Hope. Because that's what she gave me. On her first night home, I rocked her gently. Mommy's here, I whispered. Tears fell, soft and silent. Brian stood in the doorway watching us. I've never seen you glow like this, he said. I smiled. Because I wasn't broken anymore. I was full. Not because of biology. But because of grace. Jonathan said I'd never be a mother. Now I held motherhood in my arms. And she was perfect. I didn't tell Jonathan. But news travels. He found out I adopted. He sent a message. Congratulations. Must be nice finally getting a child. I didn't reply. I didn't owe him anything. Later, someone told me he was bitter. Said I'd replaced him and his dream. I wanted to scream. It was never your dream. You just wanted control. But instead, I kissed my daughter's forehead. Hope didn't need to hear about pain. Only love. Jonathan didn't ruin me. He revealed himself. And when the truth came out, I rose while he crumbled. I guess even men with pride can't outrun the truth in a folder. Every Friday, we had movie night. Popcorn. Pajamas. Pillows on the floor. Hope picked the films. Sometimes, she fell asleep before the end. Brian carried her upstairs. I'd sit on the couch smiling. This was family. Not the kind I begged for, but the kind I chose. Jonathan once said, "You'll never feel complete without a baby." He was wrong. I feel whole every day. Not because I proved him wrong, but because I proved myself right. There's no right way to be a mother. There's just love. And in this home, we had more than enough. We crossed paths at a wedding. Jonathan was alone, wearing a tight smile. He walked up to me. "You look different." I said, "Happy people tend to glow." He laughed nervously. "I was young and stupid," he said. "Now I see what I lost." I looked him dead in the eye. "You didn't lose me. You threw me away." He lowered his gaze. Then I walked away. Back to Brian, who took my hand. And to Hope, who ran into my arms. Jonathan stared from a distance. That was his new role in my life. A memory who no longer mattered. The local paper called me. They were doing a Mother's Day feature. They asked about adoption. About resilience. They asked about me. I shared my story, not the ugly parts, just the strength. They titled it, "The Woman Who Chose Love." A week later, I received a plaque. Woman of the Year. Jonathan's sister saw it on Facebook. She commented, "She earned this." Old friends messaged me. "You're incredible." I smiled, not for the praise, but for the journey. Because the woman who once hid in shame was now celebrated in the open. Hope said, "Mama." It wasn't planned. She just looked at me, held out her arms, and said it clear. "Mama." I froze. Brian cried first. I followed. All the years of waiting. Of being told I'd never be enough. They vanished. In that one word. I found peace. It didn't matter how she came into our lives. She was mine. And I was hers. Jonathan had taken my voice. But Hope gave it back. And it sounded beautiful. I walked into the same grocery store. Where women used to whisper. Now they said, "Hi, Karen." Some asked about Hope. Others complimented Brian. No more pity. No more shame. Just smiles. Jonathan used to say, "No one will want you after me." Turns out, he was the one no one wanted. Sometimes, karma comes slow. But it always shows up. And when it does, it's not loud. It's soft, like healing. Like walking through the same fire. And not getting burned again. One day I checked my old phone. I found a voicemail from Jonathan. "Karen, I messed up. I miss you. I'm lost." I stared at it. Then I deleted it. Without blinking. Because sometimes closure doesn't come from conversation. It comes from silence. From knowing you don't need their words. You've already written your own story. And this time, you're the hero. She wore a pink dress. Her backpack was too big. I took pictures through tears. Brian kissed her forehead. I'm proud of you, he whispered. Hope waved from the classroom door. I stood frozen. Not with fear. With pride. This moment was mine. Every tear, every night alone. Every insult Jonathan ever threw at me. It all led here. To this smiling little girl. Who called me mommy. Jonathan never got this moment. And that was the sweetest justice. A new couple reached out to me. Struggling with infertility. They read my article. I told them. You're not broken. You're becoming. I watched them cry. They hugged me. I realized something. I wasn't just healing. I was helping. Jonathan tried to bury me in shame. But he planted strength. And now, I was growing things he could never destroy. Brian framed something for my birthday. It was a copy of Hope's adoption certificate. Underneath, it read, Born in our hearts. I hung it in our hallway. Right where guests could see it. It wasn't just a document. It was proof. That love builds families. Not biology. Not pride. Not lies. Just love. And I had more than enough of it now. Jonathan married again. It lasted a year. She left with the same words I once heard. You made me feel worthless. He posted vague quotes on Facebook. Some people can't handle the truth. I didn't comment. Didn't laugh. Didn't care. I was too busy living. Too busy laughing with my daughter. And dancing in the kitchen with my husband. Jonathan wasn't my wound anymore. He was just a warning. If I could talk to my younger self, I'd hold her hand. Tell her. You are not the problem. He is the lie. You are love. You are light. And one day, you'll shine so bright. Even the pain will disappear. And when she cries, I'd wipe her tears and say, you're going to be okay. More than okay. You'll be powerful. I'm not the same Karen who waited, cried, and begged. I'm not the woman who took the blame. I'm the woman who walked away. Who rebuilt. Who mothered. Who loved. Who thrived. Jonathan wanted to end my story. But he started a new one instead. And this one? It ends with peace. With laughter. With joy. And with me. Standing tall. Holding the child he said I'd never have. While he stands in the past. Watching the future walk away.